Hello there and a very warm welcome to another edition of Channels Beam. I'm Victor Matthias. Now, Ethiopia celebrated the emergence of a new president last week, but what was much more interesting about the new leader of the country was the fact that a lady emerged for the first time as president in the country's history. The East African country follows the footsteps of other African countries as well as other countries from other continents who have and still have females as presidents. However, questions as to why this hasn't happened in Nigeria yet seems to be gaining traction, and that is what we will be focusing on the program today. But let's first see what made the trends in the past week.
Global tech giant Google marked the birthday of Ebola hero Dr. Stella Ameyo Adadavo with a Google Doodle. A doodle is a special temporary alteration of the logo on Google's homepages that commemorates holidays, events, achievements, and people. This was also followed by celebratory messages from Nigerians, including top politicians and government officials. Nigerians, civil society groups and non-governmental organizations have been calling on the federal government to ensure that justice was done for late Miss Ochanya Ogbanje, allegedly raped by father and son in Boko, Benue. Her death was caused by a medical condition called vesicovaginal fistula, VVF. Members of the Islamic sect of Nigeria IMN and the officers of the Nigerian army clashed at Zuba Bridge in the FCT, resulting in the death of 3 members of the sect, while officers sustained injuries. Blames have been traded as to who is at fault for the clash. While the army blames the sect says the army attacked them during a peaceful procession.
Well, there you go. Those were the trends in the past week. Of course, there were a lot of things that trended on social media, but those were our top picks. And joining us now to look at the topic of the day, we have Aisha Salahuddin. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
And we also have Babajide Benson as well. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
And joining us via Google Plus Hangout, we have Mariam Loshi. She's joining us from Abuja, Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory. Mariam, it's a pleasure to have you as well on the program.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
You're welcome. So let me just get this conversation started for us. I mean, do you think Nigeria is ready for a female president? I mean, you've seen the trend. Just last week, a woman became a president in Ethiopia. I mean, and before then, there have also been other women that have been presidents in Africa, in Asia, you know. But is Nigeria ready? I mean, it's the most populous black nation.
I think ready is an interesting choice of word because nobody's ever ready per se for anything unprepared. And I think readiness is just the wrong way to measure whether or not Nigeria should have a female president or whether or not a woman should contest. I think the appropriate thing to say would be, can Nigeria have a female president now?
Okay.
And based on our political climate and things that are happening generally, I don't think Nigeria can have a female president now, not because I don't think women should rule, but because when we look at the political climate, Nigeria's current representation, for example, has very few women. The political climate has 5.7% of women, and for you to even get to that top level of representing your people as a woman, you need to get at least representation at lower levels. Your name needs to be heard, and so at lower levels, women barely make the cut. We've seen it in the for example, Senate. 109 senators, only 9 women. House of Representatives, 370 or 90, and only 27. 360, yes, okay. And only 27 are women. So you can see the disparity there. And so for a woman to even get to the top, she's going to have to beat that, you know, that she's going to have to gather what's it called, momentum in the lower level. You know that for any political party to win in the country, they usually have like momentum at lower level. They usually have people gunning for them. And because we don't even see that with women in this current climate,
Yeah.
it's going to be difficult for a woman to be president at the moment.
What do you think about this? Can Nigeria have? So let me go with her now. Can Nigeria have a female president now?
Okay, so the purpose of our coming here has changed. She has changed the question.
I mean, it's
Yes.
you can just follow the narrative.
So I do agree with her wholeheartedly. Is Nigeria ready for a female president? No. Can Nigeria have a female president? The answer is yes, and there are very many names that can be paraded. One of them is actually in the ring now. But you and I know that usually a race, it's usually a two-horse race, the two main political parties. And there are many women in Nigeria who have done us very proudly as heads of agencies, in ministries. They've given a good account of themselves. Where men have failed, these women have excelled. So I think it's a good opportunity if we give a woman a chance to at least pilot the affairs of the state of Nigeria, for once. We've talked about Ethiopia. You forgot that recently we had a woman in Liberia and she gave a good account of herself. In Malawi, we had a vice president who eventually became president and she ran for the office a second time, but she lost. So yes, Africa is ready, and it would be a good thing if Nigeria was the one that had the opportunity to have a female president.
Yeah, and that's why I mentioned Nigeria being the most populous black nation,
indeed.
and it's happened. I just made mention of Ethiopia because it's the most recent, and I said even before then there were countless others in Africa, Asia, and other continents. But let me bring in Mariam. Mariam, you heard Babajide as well as Aisha, but what are your thoughts? Do you think Nigeria is ready for a female president, or do you think Nigeria can have a female president at the moment?
I would like to rephrase the question for, is Nigeria ready for a good leader?
Oh, okay.
So we need a good leader, and I don't think the person's gender is what matters in the discussion. If we have someone who's able to do the tasks, who's able to be the kind of leader that we need, because Nigeria is going through such a struggle period in terms of the security of the country, economy, and so many other issues. And if we're able to get a woman who can deal with these issues, she would get my vote. And I'm sure that Nigerians just want a country that works better for everybody, better healthcare, better education, better economy. So those are the things that we need to consider, even when we are looking at who our candidates are in terms of who we can vote for. The question should be, is Nigeria ready for a good leader? And that leader could be a woman and it could be a man. And I think Nigeria is ready for that. In terms of, can Nigeria have a female president right now? Just like Aisha said, there are so many hurdles in the way if we want to have a woman who is leading. We haven't even had our first female elected governor yet in Nigeria. Most of the women we've seen end up in that position of governorship ended up there not by election. And so we need to see a country where people are more open to the idea of female leadership, and space is given within even political parties, because what we see in political parties now is that they use the women as tokens when they're trying to get votes and so much more, but they don't give. We need to stop giving women the role of women leader. We need to start giving them the role of, she's the national leader, she's the chairwoman of this party, and things like that. And then it begins to come into the society and create space within the political parties as well. But if these
let me come in a bit, Mariam. You as well as others, actually moved for the not too young to run, bill from scratch till it became, till it got presidential assent. I mean, do you think a movement to see for Nigeria to have a woman president, a female president, should be in the offing? Notwithstanding all the hurdles, all the challenges, all the encumbrances. I mean, like you made mention of ladies who have, contested for the seat of governor. Most recently is Aisha Al-Hassan in Taraba State, and she gave a good account of herself. I mean, you can't take that away from her. So don't you think with a little push forward, a woman, a female can emerge president in Nigeria?
Anything can happen right now. I believe anything can happen.
We see Obi Ezekwesili is running for president at the moment. I think that's a good thing. I don't know what her chances are, but that's a good thing. We need to see more women in those spaces contesting for those positions and having support from men as well. One of the female leaders that I know a lot of people wanted her to run was Amina J. Mohammed, who is currently the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations. She has all the great qualities that a country would need. So why not somebody like that?